I'm Denise Cumming with the University Hospitals Kingston Foundation, and I am just delighted to welcome all of you here. Our board chair, Ian Wilson, noted that we've got truly all of southeastern Ontario gathered for this celebration, which is lovely. And I think all of you had the chance to meet Ian. I think all of you had the chance to meet the board chair of Hotel Dieu Hospital, Sherri McCullough. And to Sherri's immediate right is Dr. Pichora, who is the CEO here at Hotel Dieu Hospital. And we also have with us Carol McIntosh, who is the program manager here in the Jeanne Mance 5 clinic. So I think all of you know that we are here to recognize several outstanding people. First of all, we're recognizing support that was given by Gerry Tepper, which she was very resistant to us recognizing. But we are delighted that Gerry has been such a phenomenal supporter in every sense of the word of Hotel Dieu Hospital. She has served in virtually every governance volunteer capacity that you can imagine, a very long time board member of the hospital, board chair, served on the Jeanne Mance Foundation board and a long time with the board chair there, on numerous committees. And we have been so fortunate to have the benefit of her wisdom and great enthusiasm and great passion for the work of Hotel Dieu Hospital. All of you who know Gerry will know that she is very humble about her many contributions and talents. And so when we approached her several months ago to ask if we might have the opportunity to recognize her financial contributions through naming something at Hotel Dieu, she immediately said no. But then she thought about it and called back and said, there are some people I would like to see at Helen. Would it be okay, do you think, if we name some spaces in honor of people for their wonderful contributions and support of me and their wonderfully generous spirit? And so that's what we're here to do today. As you all know, I think, Gerry has asked that we put Sister Elizabeth McPherson's name and Nadja Stecenko's name on facilities here at Hotel Dieu Hospital. I'm just delighted that we have had numerous people come out to support both Nadja and also to recognize our very fond memories of Sister Elizabeth McPherson. I'd like to invite Sherri McCullough to come forward and say a few words, please.
I wanted to welcome everyone here this afternoon on behalf of the Board of Directors. And of course, it's a great pleasure to be here today to honor the incredible generosity of our dear friend Gerry Tepper. And when I was preparing for this, I immediately kept thinking of Gerry's dear friend Mary Alice Murray, and thinking that how lovely and proud she would be of her friend's accomplishment. And Geraldine has often told me that she's here because of her dear friend. And so it's a great honor to be here to celebrate Gerry's generosity. And as Denise said, Gerry has been a long time supporter of Hotel Dieu Hospital. She was the chair of the board of directors for many years, and then joined the Jeanne Mance Foundation, a board which she also chaired from 2009 to 2011. So we're delighted to recognize Gerry's contribution to Hotel Dieu by naming 2 rooms, a team room and a clinic room, in the new Jeanne Mance 5 clinic, and that's where we are right now, is in this new clinic area. And will be named in honor of Sister Elizabeth McPherson and Nadja Stecenko. The team room is designed as a place where our care teams can meet to discuss and review care plans in a confidential atmosphere. The room is also where some teaching of students can take place. And on Jeanne Mance 5, there are a few multidisciplinary teams that can care for a patient and their families. So that includes a nurse, physicians of course, residents, clerks, dietitians, social workers, physiotherapists, and occupational therapists, or some combination of this group. Often they are complex care, and they discuss and work together to update and provide a plan for moving forward. It's not just about the medication or one set of treatment. So these rooms also have computers that allow the physician and team members to review history and blood work and recent radiology testing and recent hospital visits to ensure they are up to date on the care of the patient. The clinic rooms are very similar to each other, but they provide room for patients and significant others if needed. Each room also has a computer enabling the physician to show the patient and the family the x-rays and the tests to aid in explaining treatment and diagnosis. So you can understand the wide variety of patients that we will see in these areas, and through Gerry's incredible generosity, we thank you. We thank you very much, our dear friend.
Sherri, and all of you who've attended. I have to tell you that we're remembering a remarkable lady, and we're honoring another one today. But my spirit has always been to be anonymous, and I practice law. I've done so since '62, and I had a client call me one time, very irate, because they had made a very large donation, and the gentleman who was in charge, English was not his first language. So at the big public meeting, he announced the amount of the contribution, their names, and then said, given anonymously. Because I wanted these plaques to say an anonymous donor, because I don't think anyone should detract from either of them. What brought me to Hotel View is I graduated the very first graduating class of law at Queens, and my dearest classmate was Mary Alice Murray. And the Murray family, and I think there's a wing named after Mary Alice, was very active at the View. She got on my case and said, you're doing too much law, get out of your office and do something else, and she brought me on board here in 1981. Now, one of the things she said, of all the things you're going to do and all the people you're going to meet, the sisters are the one you remember the most, and they're the most worthwhile people. And that was Elizabeth McPherson. When I came to chair the board, Elizabeth represented the sisters, and she was an absolutely remarkable woman. We had contingents from our other hospital, KGH, and Elizabeth always opened the meeting with a prayer. And I remember Peter Beeman, who represented KGH, would say, you know, these meetings are terrific. Nobody gets mad at anybody else. I said, Peter, if you've had Sister McPherson open your meetings with a prayer, I can assure you, nobody would ever get mad at anybody. But she had wonderful humor, and I will share this. My late mother-in-law was a very feisty and wonderful lady, was very ill at the Hotel View. She was in a state where she really wanted to die, and Sister came to see her, and I guess her comment was, I wish I were dead. And Sister said, well, that's all right. I'll go to the chapel and pray that you die. And her retort was, oh, no, no, no. If you're going to pray, you pray that I get better. And of course, Sister told me the story, thought it was quite wonderful. But I think anyone who knows Sister, and you can just see her, those are related, telling me the story. But you know, my late husband was a wonderful trial lawyer and was actually honored by the advocates in Ontario as one of the 50 best trial lawyers of the last century. And he got to know Sister. And his comment was, she was the coolest lady he ever met. And we decided, both of us, that if the world was going to end, I wanted to sit with Sister. So did Lou, and we didn't know who would be on the right or who would be on the left. I guess you people would have preference. But she was an absolute delight. I will never forget her. I regret one thing. When she died, someone from the hospital wrote a Lives Lived in the Toronto Globe, and I tried to find it and couldn't in the archives. But it pretty well said all the things I've said today. When you met Sister, you never, ever, ever forgot her. And that's why I think today it's very special that we remember her. Now, this other wonderful lady, this is Nadja Stecenko, who I've known for 55 years. We're both 39, so I don't know how that happened. But Nadja is a remarkable lady. Had it not been for the Second World War, Nadja would have been a practicing doctor in the Ukraine. One of the good things of that awful war is that it brought Nadja and her wonderful husband to Kingston, who I must share this with you because we distrust government. They had been in Belgium and spoke French, and they were told that Kingston was a French-speaking community. So never believe anything you hear from the government. But Nadja is an amazing lady. She volunteers for everything. She is very active in St. John's Anglican Church, has been on the Hotel View board, has volunteered with the Salvation Army, the Beth Israel Synagogue, the Symphony, and the grandmothers of Lesotho, and I probably have missed a few. But Nadja has the kindest soul. I understand I never got to meet this wonderful lady, but she and her husband met a displaced person in Belgium, a senior lady who had no one, and they adopted her as their mother so they could bring her to Canada and looked after her. Now, I'm sure she's done innumerable things that I can't tell you about, but 2 years ago I became critically ill with pneumonia, and when I got to the KGH, Nadja was waiting. She'd heard about it, and they said, "Who's that?" And I said, "That's my sister, you see." So she was allowed to sit with me in intensive care for 3 weeks, and when my actual sister showed up from Toronto, they looked at Nadja and said, "You don't look at all like..." She said, "No, that's all right, I'm adopted." And I recuperated at her home for 7 weeks. So had I not had Nadja, I probably wouldn't have had the opportunity to do this. I'm very, very pleased to do it. The only thing is, I'd hoped it would be strictly anonymous. Thank goodness the plaques say an anonymous donor. So if all of you promise me you will keep this, we call it in law privilege, keep it under your hat. But I feel that I have a great honor in these two very remarkable and outstanding ladies, and I know that anybody who attends those clinics, because they're named after these two wonderful people, as a lawyer, I won't put it in writing, but I assume they're going to get better. So thank you again. My pleasure, Denise.
It's wonderful to hear those stories because it makes it real for those of us who didn't know, why you made that wonderful commitment to your friends, and for all of the people who are going to be served in this hospital, and to go into those rooms and know that it's named for you and for your late relatives. I think it's wonderful that the people will have that name and the kindness that I'll know from here on in that they represented. I'm chair of the University Hospitals Kingston Foundation, and we raise money throughout Eastern Ontario. So we do knock on your doors from time to time, not actually at your doors, but usually at your municipal offices, to remind you that in our hospitals, the government pays for the operations of the hospital, but these rooms, these clinics, the equipment that's used, the education of the ongoing education of the staff, all of that comes from the generosity of people like Jerry and those others who donate so generously to our hospitals. Our hospitals, not only here, but in your communities as well, the Cornwall, Brockville, Perth, Smiths Falls, all these smaller hospitals are also benefiting from the generosity of the people in their communities that keep them open for business. We're doing some wonderful work here, and certainly Hotel Dieu has become the leading light in ambulatory care. All the clinics for all of southeastern Ontario are held here at the tertiary care level. So it's wonderful for people to know that there's a place to come, that they're going to get the very best of care at the very highest level. And that's what Hotel Dieu is making its mark at. If you have to stay overnight, you'll go over to Kingston General and they'll admit you, and that's another kind of care that's taken care of at that hospital. But we exist because of the generosity of donors, and Jerry, your generosity will be remembered anonymously, but through the names of these wonderful people. So thank you so very much for doing that. Thank you all.
And Sister McPherson, I didn't have the privilege of knowing or working with her, but I have a feeling she's looking over my shoulder. So there's lots of sisters who are. It's too bad I don't have more shoulders, but she certainly has a tremendous legacy and is remembered as one of the sisters who've done a tremendous job in advancing Catholic healthcare in particular, and this hospital. And I've heard lots of tremendous stories about her, and it's great hearing some new ones today from Jerry. So thanks to all of you for being here and your generosity.